right, friends and neighbors, welcome back to your favorite show about food, fun, and philanthropy. Stick a fork in it. You are now on all of your favorite audio platforms as well as YouTube. If you haven't found us on there, make sure that you follow us there so you can actually see all these lovely faces talking and chatting and learning. Yeah. We are today here with Shannon and Thomas, as usual. And we have a little bit of an odd question today that kind of relates to something that Shannon's been doing lately about some unique pets that you've been raising at home.
So
what do you mean?
Well, I guess the question for you is there's a variety of well-accepted domesticated pets that people have. Mm-hmm. Cats, dogs. Mm-hmm. You've chosen another route. Can you let us know what is what's the roster of the household pets you have?
And it's going to grow. I am just so excited. So I've always been into birds. So this is how my passion for birds came into play, because I always called my son my three little birds, like the Bob Marley song. So during COVID, I adopted an eclectus parrot, which she is the female. So she's red and she does talk. Her name is Dahlia Rowe for Corona. And then we have Jay. She doesn't like anybody but me. So then Jay, my boyfriend, got cockatiels. So we have two cockatiels that they don't like me. So we've got our own little things. But then I've always wanted chickens.
Why do you want chickens?
I just think they're just brilliant. I don't know. I just think they're incredible. They're like mini dinosaurs.
But they're not a lap. They're not climbing in your lap.
Yes, they are. Yes, they do. I have 4 chickens. They're silky chickens, so they're little bougie, fluffy ones, and their eggs are tiny. Not tiny, but they're the size of 2 traditional eggs, so they do give us eggs. But if I call them, they come and they kind of line up. They put their back up because I give them scritches on their back. I say, "Okay, ladies, time to go to bed," and they all go into their thing.
You have all ladies.
I have all ladies.
So you have.
I haven't even gotten to the normal pets.
You have a red bird. You have 2 cockatiels. You got 4 chickens. What else do you have?
4 dogs.
It's like a Christmas song.
So we are a combined family.
The feeding regimen in the morning or evening, like, is this a 45-minute, an hour-long process? You do have to feed all these things, right?
I do, and that's kind of my zen, to be honest with you. So if you think from a point of parenthood, when you have to take care and sustain things, and if you do it for 35 years like I have, it kind of feeds, for me, it feeds that nurturing, taking care of. So it's about half hour of my morning. I get up early enough no matter what I'm doing. Like today I was at the food bank super early, so it was really dark. So one day I'm going to take the photo. I have a specific, very bold little chicken, and she stuck her head out when I turned the light on, like, "Excuse me." She does it every time.
You're sleeping here.
So they do have wonderful personalities. But that's just part of my day. And then I make my coffee, and it soothes my soul. And they do love you back, or they do depend on you, and they each have their own personalities, just like any other living being. But I have a blended family. So I have a French bulldog that's my bonus daughters. I have a Chow that is my youngest son's, who's 22. And then Jay and I together have a mini Bernese Mountain Dog.
Oh, yeah.
And a Cavalier King Charles.
Well, that is quite the roster. I guess, have you not moved into the bovine family yet?
I am. As a matter of fact, I did an April Fool's where I put this cute little Highland cow on all my social, introducing our little boy Lucky to the family. And then at the end of the day, I put April Fool's, but one day. Yeah. Because I need a barn. So we're coming up with the barn.
So are you violating HOA rules as we speak?
I don't have an HOA.
Just wait.
But I do keep everything incredibly clean to respect my neighbors. But the neighbors on both sides love the bird sounds. They love hearing them. That's why I don't have a rooster. Yeah. I think that'd be very rude. I personally don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. with a thing squawking like that either. So yeah. What about you, Thomas?
No, I just have a dog. I'm a normal pet owner. That's it. Just a dog. Normal pet owner. And speaking of barnyard animals, we have quite an interesting guest today.
We do. I'm so excited. I've hung out with her a number of times. Andrea.
That's me.
Andrea from M&B Dairy.
Yes, ma'am.
Which
what
we
kind
work
of pets
together.
do you have?
Well, aside from the 650 Holstein cows we have,
Yes.
I do have a dog.
Aw.
Her name is Arrow. She is a black mouth cur mix.
Okay.
And we got her on February 14th. So Valentine's Day, so Cupid's arrow. Nobody in the family liked that name but me.
That's so cute, though, but you're the mom, so you do it. So
That's right.
there we go.
Yep. And I have Cat, Tan Kitty. Very unique name, right?
Oh, I thought you were saying it was a tan cat.
Yeah, but it is.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I do have chickens too. And so I totally agree with you. The whole chicken thing is real. They love you. And if you come out with mealworms in your hands, they're all over you.
Oh, yeah. It's like candy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what the best thing about these animals are, really and truly, is unlike children, they are never sad to see you. They are always happy. They don't get mad at you when you put them to bed. They don't get mad at you if you feed them the wrong dinner. You know, they love you all the time.
Oh, that's a good point. See?
Yeah.
See, you poor thing, Thomas. You have one dog.
Yes,
That
but
explains a lot.
the sun rises and sets on me with little Bella.
Well, okay.
That is true. That is true. And she is very much adored. So let's talk a little M&B. Okay. How long? So it's Florida farming. That's in the news a lot lately. So we'll get into that eventually. But tell us a little bit about your dairy.
Absolutely. So we have actually two different parts. So I think we'll talk about both of those parts today. But the first part we'll talk about is our dairy farm. And we are a family-owned and operated business. And my brother-in-law, Leon McClellan, operates our dairy farm himself. He is there every day from the crack of dawn until dusk. He's there working and sometimes after. And he milks cows, about 650 of them, 3 times a day.
Wow.
And that milking ends up making a tanker of milk every single day, every 24 hours approximately, which is about 5,500 gallons of milk a day. Those little cows are working hard to produce for our packaging plant.
Do all 650 produce every day?
So the ones that are milking, they are milking every single day, 3 times a day. There are cows that are out in the pasture who are pregnant and about to calve. And so they're out living their best life until it's time to become part of the working herd.
So you say milking, so it's 650 3 times a day. I know you guys think of a lot of little people doing things, but
So you're sitting on a little stool with your little hands going
That's how it used to be done, but no.
Oh no, this is a whole project. Like it's crazy. And the interesting thing to me is we're watching the animals. So we went Michael Paluska. If anybody wants to search Michael Paluska, he did a story on our work together, and it is so interesting because between clicks and whistles and things like this, these cows are so happy doing their thing, and they live in like the lap of luxury, and they have their own little bedding, and they have where they go to eat, and they have all of them have fans on them. They are very well taken care of.
Yeah, one thing you guys mentioned that we're used to is how serene it was. Right, you go out there and it's quiet, and the cows are happy, and it's not. It's different. From your perspective of what you think it is, it's just very serene and calm and a relaxed environment, and they're
well, and they look forward to that. We had to explain that, and I maybe I shouldn't explain it in my funny way here, but so when a cow is full and needs to be milked, it's a relief. So they want to get in that line. They want that to happen. So it's good for them, and they're really peaceful.
Yes.
And the personalities are so cute because some would just come right up to your face and stare at you for 3 minutes and be like, all right.
Are there ones that that just are your favorites that over the years?
Yeah. So there are certain ones that are extra friendly, like Shannon is talking about, and there are certain ones that are like, I'm just going to lay down right here. Don't bother me. So, just like our dogs.
They have their own little personality.
Yeah, just like our cows are no different.
But it's interesting because it comes from more of a shy place. It's not it's not kind of a rude. You don't feel a threatening thing at all. It's just kind of, oh, no, I'd rather not.
No, dairy cows are so docile. They are just so laid back, and they're wonderful to work with. Absolutely.
So, we talked about who's on the farm. Really quick, let's go into the plant, and we can talk about how long this has been going on with y'all.
Yeah, so our dairy farm produces 1 tanker of milk a day, like I was saying, but our processing plant, we package about 22 tankers of milk a day. So we belong to what's called a co-op, Southeast Milk Co-op, and that is their job is to get Florida farm milk, to get farmers milk, and then to get it out to processors to be able to package in a most efficient and affordable way for the farmers. And so at our plant, Dale McClellan is the president and owner. He's my father-in-law. And Daniel McClellan is my husband, and he's our operations manager.
Okay.
So Dale's overseeing everything, really taught us everything that we know about farming and about processing. And he's really the ringleader. He does try to step back a little bit and kind of let us have our own way with what we're doing and grow into our positions. But he's always there leading us into the right decisions, the best way. And he's really a sounding board for us to bounce, because he has that history. He has the experience that we don't have.
Yeah.
So Daniel runs our operations, so processing, packaging, maintenance, out-of-state delivery.
Yeah, how far does your milk go into the United States? How far?
Yeah, so within the Southeast region, we're throughout Florida, from Miami to Tallahassee. We have partner distributors that we work with that are in Georgia, Alabama, all throughout the Southeast. We're kind of slowly, methodically, carefully expanding our reach.
Yeah. So your business is called, which I think is a wonderful brand, Cool Cow brand. Like, how did you guys come up with that? Whose brainchild was that?
So that was actually Dale's cousin, Rocky Lovelace. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
But his name was Rocky Lovelace.
Yeah,
That
that's pretty great.
alone. Now we know how he came up with the Cool Cow, because his name was Rocky Lovelace.
Yes, exactly. So to get into a little bit of the history of all of that, the Lovelace family actually owned Sunnybrook Dairy in the same exact place where M&B is packaging right now. And unfortunately, some of the national larger brands ended up putting that business out of business in 1979. And that's where Dale was working at the time. And so he lost his job, right? So his family's business and his job was lost all in one fell swoop, which harbors some scar tissue, and what he built M&B on to protect against that.
You know, it occurs to us. I think your family's a fifth generation. You're the cow side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not the production side, but the cow side. You know, it occurs to us as Shannon mentioned. There's a lot of farmers and produce in the news right now. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you're a fifth generation farmer, your family is, and you just mentioned that it's a difficult industry to survive in, to perhaps make the profit that you want and need in. How are you all in the business of agriculture feeling right now? Let me give you a framework for the question. I was talking to a citrus farmer about a year ago, and he was a eighth generation and about to give it to the ninth generation, but they were contemplating selling their land to developers for homes. Right, which is it's an appropriate
real.
choice. As a citrus farmer, he was no longer viable. There was a lot of pressure on his business model,
Especially in Florida.
Yeah. So how is the industry you're in? How is the farm? And what should somebody that's listening to this or watching this think about your industry? What should they know?
Yeah, so all of those things are exactly real. It is very hard. And as a family business, we're so fortunate that the next generation really is into it and into making it successful. And fortunately, we have right now a Commissioner of Agriculture, Wilton Simpson, who is trying to protect against some of those options that farmers are really given. Okay, yeah, you can farm and it can be hard, and there are all these regulations that you have to abide by, or you could just sell out your land for lots of monies to developers and just wash your hands of all the problems. And
But that's not what a farmer does.
that's right. That's not what's in your blood. That's not
Right.
what's in your heart.
Well, and what would we do without it?
Exactly. And fortunately, Florida has a great support system and legislation for that. And, you also have to have a family that's in it. And my family is in it all the way. You know what I mean? We have such a support system. We talk about what's happening tomorrow, what happened yesterday at the dinner table. My in-laws, Dale and Mary, they live next door to me, and that is a blessing more than you could ever imagine, especially when it comes to taking care of children. And, my mother-in-law watched my girls while I was working, and I was so fortunate because I didn't have to worry about my kids. I knew they were being raised well, even though I couldn't be there every single minute of the day. Now, they came home and slept at night every night, but Mary was there making sure they were fed and clean and bathed and loved. And so having a family support system, and that's kind of what family is in agriculture especially, is why we do what we do and why we want to continue doing it, even through the trials and tribulations.
One of the things I think we always know is that people that are passionate about their craft, right, as you all and your family is, there's a part of them that is who they are, not just what they do. How do you make sure, and how do we think about, again, for the listener and the viewer, how do we think about agriculture surviving in the future? What would you tell somebody about what it looks like for farming, and what would you want them to know to say, hey, this should matter to you, right? I walk into a grocery store and there's milk on the shelf that we grab, and I take for granted there's a whole lot of effort that took place to get it there. What should we know about agriculture that if you're listening, you think, oh, I didn't know that, or I should pay attention to that?
Yeah, there's a few things, and so that's a great question, Thomas, and thank you so much. One, support local. Really and truly, I know that's been a big buzz thing, and I really want people to hone in on that. And yes, support local, because one, you're supporting your farms and giving them a reason to keep doing what they're doing. But two, it's better for the environment because you're not hauling things from other places using fossil fuels to get them into your market area. Buy local, support local is super important. Number two, focus on real, fresh, natural products, those short ingredient list products, the non-ultra processed products, the non-ultra filtered products. The closest you can get from the animal or the plant, the better. The closest you can get straight from your farmer or your grower, the better it is for the environment and for your bodies.
I think it's important to break for a moment to ask another question. Do you eat your chicken's eggs, Shannon?
We do.
Interesting. So it's coming from 12 feet out the side of the door directly into your kitchen?
Yep. Fresh every
farm
day.
to table.
Farm to table.
Farm to table.
Yes. You know what my husband's favorite thing is to eat with our chicken eggs?
What?
It's not healthy. Creme brulee.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Well,
So
yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we are making creme brulee like almost every week.
Yum.
Yeah.
I need to try that.
So all creme
Or go
brulee
to her house.
is
Right?
is
I could do that.
egg yolks, sugar,
Yeah.
vanilla, and cream. That's it.
And then
That's
a
news to
little
me.
burn on the top.
Yeah, that's his
Melt her
favorite
down.
part. Yeah.
I know, you gotta get it's gotta
Yes.
pop in your teeth.
I think it's the fire. Yeah.
Oh, it's just the fire. Oh, it's not the taste, it's the fire.
It's the fire.
So I want to talk again. I think it's important to get to know you and the business. And I think one of the great things about a podcast, videocast like this is folks can meet a real farmer.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's one of the nice parts of this. But from our perspective as an organization that provides resources to families that are challenged and something that I know matters to you, I don't know that everybody knows how a public-private partnership works.
Yeah.
And why they're so important to our communities. And so as I would describe this, I'd like to ask you to think about how and answer why and how it's important to you. So if folks don't know that listen to this, farmers are often subsidized by the state or federal government because the ability for you to compete is not always easy. When you're competing against, as you said, not local, and when you're competing against out of country, that can be very difficult for you all to maintain a profit level. So for many years, the United States has chosen to subsidize farmers, and a lot of those subsidies have turned into food that an organization like Feeding Tampa Bay puts on the table for someone else. And so we've always enjoyed the idea that we can take your good, healthy, fresh products, in your instance, wonderful milk and other byproducts of that, and it goes onto a table of a kid that's going to have a really tasty bowl of cereal that morning, right? That's worked for many, many years. Over the last couple of weeks, we've heard a lot of conversation about changes to policy and cuts and differences and difficulties. And we don't want to ever put a guest in a position of answering a tough question.
That's okay.
Because everybody has responsibilities. But there's some of that may end.
Yeah.
There's some of that may shift. And as we talk here often, we don't get involved in politics, but we do reflect what happens when you change policies. How are you thinking about that? What's on your mind?
Well, there's a lot of things on my mind, and the very first thing that comes to mind is simply do what's right, and God will eventually take care of the rest. So while we're all very nervous and very scared about the things that are being talked about above our heads, right, we can just kind of do what's right and do the best that we can, and hopefully things will work out in the end, and that's kind of what has happened with M&B in the long run. But because we primarily service school kids, because our primary industry is wholesale institutional. So we're in schools all the way from Miami to Tallahassee. And federal funding cuts could definitely affect our business. However, I really do feel like our Florida State Agriculture legislature will step in and help fund from a state side rather than rely on federal. I think we are insulated by the fact, and I hope that this is how it will eventually pan out, right, is that no matter what, kids and families need food.
Yeah.
And no matter what, in my opinion, milk is the most natural, nutritious, affordable beverage there is. So I feel like the powers that be will see that.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and we were talking about a little bit about age differences. For the viewer, I'm not quite as young as I look. For the listener, don't worry about it. But as a kid, all I drank was milk.
Yes.
I remember High C was a treat, and we weren't allowed to have soda, but we drank milk at every meal. It's just an interesting change in what's on your table, right? What you have. But as you said, it's an indispensable part of a child's nutritional needs and requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. My kids still drink milk with dinner, and it definitely is an important beverage.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys have chocolate milk
We do.
regularly.
Yes.
And then seasonally, strawberry milk. I've heard that's what I have to try.
Now, are those brown cows and pink cows? Is that how you
Yes.
get that?
Contrary to popular belief, no.
Oh.
Although pink cows would be really cute. You might should get one of those, Shannon, for your farm.
Yes. I'll get a little white fluffy cow and we'll put pink on it.
There we go. I like that idea.
So one thing that I find really interesting with you guys as well, you talk about, the struggle of a farmer, and you have to come up with plans and innovations, right, to really have your brand stand out. And you guys, tell us about how special your milk is, because it's very special.
Yeah, so we are working really hard toward what we're calling a perfect milk. And what that is it's solving the problem of two potential intolerances for consumers. So everybody's very familiar with lactose intolerance, right?
Yeah.
And what that is a body's difficulty digesting the sugars, the natural sugars that are in.
It creates an output problem.
Yes.
Discomfort and poor output.
Yes, exactly. But there's also another intolerance, which is a protein intolerance for milk that contains A1 proteins. So we have created our herd to be an A2 only herd. So our cows are producing A2 only milk, and that's a genetic type testing. So just like our eye color, brown eyes or blue eyes or green eyes, it's a genetic thing. So you can test with a little.
This is how you get the brown and the pink cows for the chocolate milk and the strawberry milk.
Not exactly, but yeah, not exactly, but yes, we'll go with that. So if we're able to create an A2 only protein milk, it's A1 free, and we're able to treat that milk with the lactase enzyme, we're able to create a A2 lactose free milk. And what that will do is anyone who has an intolerance for digesting proteins or sugars, it will get rid of that discomfort or that output problem, like you said, Thomas, and create a perfect milk. So what agriculture industry does all over.
Innovates.
Yes.
And if you see we're not just going to force a product down our customer's throat. If there's a real problem out there, it's our job to solve it and create a solution. Yeah. So especially as dairy farmers, we want to combat milk alternatives and create a solution to the problem that milk may have that would turn people into a milk alternative beverage. So it's a natural product, right? It's all natural. It's got a very short ingredient list. It's just milk, the lactase enzyme, and vitamins A and D, or vitamin just D, depending on the fat content. And it's a perfect milk.
You know, it's interesting. We often say that one of our goals as an organization is we want to create population health, right? That's one of the things we want to see happen. It's interesting that that's not your business motto, but it's certainly your business, making sure that people are healthier for having your products with them. So when you all were here to visit with Commissioner Simpson, it was a wonderful meeting, and I took away a piece of information, and I've told this story about 20 times since. I've gotten it wrong every single time, so you're going to correct us. But one of the things that we talked about, and I want to come back to this because I think it's important for the listener to understand, is that you all described that during the winter when you're taking care of children, you're producing, and you're going to correct me in a moment, but I'm going to tell the story.
That's okay.
You're producing some 22 tankerfuls of milk every single day that are going into the lives and homes of children in schools who need milk. When the kids go out of school, the schools only need about 7 tankers a week. So you go from 22 a day to 7 tankers a week. And what you said, which I loved, was the cows still have a milk
Yes.
problem,
Yes.
right? So part of our innovative partnership moving forward is how do we take that terrific product? And as you said earlier, Shannon, the cows want to be,
Yep.
they want to
They
be
need
inventory
comfort.
free,
Yes.
I like that.
right? Really innovative partnership. But make sure the listener and viewer gets the numbers right. How
Right.
should they think about this? Because I think what you said, the alternative was we don't have a place to put that. What we said as a food bank network is, well, we can, that's
Yeah.
terrific. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So milk is a very complex industry. So there's different classes of milk. Class 1 is fluid milk. It's the most expensive milk, and it pays the most to the farmers. And so that's what we want to sell here in Florida. And when it comes to summer, our poor dairy farms, they can't cut the spigot off, right? That milk is
Right.
still
So the cows
Care
are
of
all
'em.
crossing their legs?
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. Even if they
They're
did,
probably
yeah.
crying.
Yeah, and you'd hear lots of moos. Yeah, so although I wish it worked like that, it does not. So yes, there is this abundance of milk, and Florida is great because it has lots of natural abundances, but sometimes that can cause heartache and economical challenges for those farmers. And so exactly how this relationship started is what can we do to work together to take our abundance during certain times of the year. Now, it's not just summer, Thomas. It could be when we shut down for a hurricane, or it could be a few years ago. Remember when we shut down for COVID?
Yeah, I do
Yes.
remember that story. A lot of us saw that milk
Yes,
going into the
ground.
straight
Dump.
into the ground.
Yes.
Or this year, never before seen in my lifetime, the Panhandle was shut down due to snow. Right? So during these, right,
Oh,
it can
okay.
affect us any time of the
Okay.
year. And so in those cows, again, whether it's snowing or whether there's a hurricane or whether kids are out for summer, they're still being milked. And so that is still the most nutritious beverage there is. And if we can get it into our plant and process it and use your infrastructure to get it out to families whose kids aren't in school, it's a win-win-win because it's for the farmers. It's a win for the farmers. It's a win for my processing plant because my guys have something to do during the summer, and then it's a win for those in need.
Well, I think this is why private-public partnerships, again, we want the listener and viewer to understand why this all matters, because it's a thoughtful ecosystem, and it takes, as you said, a moment of challenge and creates a moment of opportunity instead. Again, for the listener and viewer, I probably got my numbers wrong. What are how many tankers a day are you producing versus summer? What does that look like?
Thomas, you are spot on.
Yeah, you had it
You are
right.
spot
You
on.
did, because you
is
said that in the
time.
beginning.
A smarter man would walk off right now.
Drop the
Mic
mic.
drop.
Don't drop them.
But
They're
as
new.
it turns out, I'm not a smarter man.
Yeah, so we're packaging about 22 tankers of milk a day, and during the summer, it's about 7 a week.
Yeah, that's got to be a cow that's a little in some discomfort.
Yeah, lots of discomfort.
I imagine if this were a show that had an R rating, you could give us all the ways in which you refer to milking cows and the terminology you use, but we probably won't do that here.
No, it's gentle. We love our cows. There's no R-rated.
There's got to be some good jokes. There's got to be
there's
some good jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I found really interesting is the wonderful way that you take care of your cows, but how, for instance, we're talking about for breeding purposes to get that milk that's better for kids in school because some of them might even not even know they have sensitive stomachs. So the cows and explain that life of a cow, of a dairy cow from birth to the science of birth because you got to make sure genealogy is right. I mean, it is a very complex thing. So when you go into the refrigerator and you grab your milk, you're learning all these things, folks.
Yeah, you are. And it is a long process.
It is. It's complicated.
I want to ask you again. You brought up science before, which I don't want to overlook, because as a kid, again, I heard this. I wasn't this age, but we actually got milk delivered every day. We had a little. In fact, if your house, typically we either had a milk box out at the, or my
insulated box.
uncle had a very fancy version where on the inside of his house he had a little door, on the outside of the house a little door, and so he didn't even have to leave his house. He would just the milkman would put it in there. But
What year was this? It's like an old movie. Black and white movies.
You know when you have to scroll backwards now
sound.
when they
Yeah,
ask
with
you
no
what
sound.
year you're born, you keep scrolling.
You just keep going
My
and
scrolling
going.
seems to be lasting forever, but it does lead to a question about the advances in pasteurization. Now, why does this matter? And part of the reason why I bring it up, one of the questions we always get is, where do you get your food from?
Yeah.
And so we often say it's the outer ring of the grocery store, right? So those are typically products that have an expiration date attached to them. And so I always use the example. I say, when you go buy milk, what do? And everybody Every single person says, I push the ones with today's date to the left, to the right, and I
get the
reach
newer one.
all the way in the back, and I get the one with the best date.
But they're going to drink it within a couple of days anyway.
Right. Well, that's why they donated.
Yeah.
The stores donated to us because someone may not buy it, but
Yeah.
it's perfectly good.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about pasteurization and how all of that has changed dramatically for all of us. We had to, as I said, we had to get milk every day. We now have milk that'll stay in our refrigerators for weeks.
Yeah, so pasteurization is a great thing that just kills harmful bacteria. And the pasteurization process is a very quick thing for us. So there's a couple of different types of pasteurization, which I don't know if you want to get into all that. But what we do for fresh milk is called HTST pasteurization. That's high temperature, short time. So we're heating our milk up and cooling it right back down. And what that does is it zaps those bad bugs while keeping all the other nutrients still intact. It goes through a homogenization process, which has nothing to do with temperature, but just breaks down the fat molecules. So back in the day, like you were talking, Thomas, your milk might have a cream slug at the top because they didn't typically homogenize. And while you probably loved eating that off the top or making butter out of it. Today's people would say, ooh, it's clabbered, it's curdled, that's gross. But it's just a fat slug if you don't homogenize. And all that does is break down the molecules so that they evenly disperse throughout the gallon of milk and you don't have any separation.
So how long after the expiration date can I actually drink the milk?
We're required by law that it lasts 4 days if it's kept under 40 degrees. Yeah, so when the state comes and picks up samples from our processing plant, they test it 4 days past the expiration date.
What about my theory that it's good to drink milk that's starting to turn bad because it becomes a health opportunity? Is that a bad theory?
No, you do you, Thomas. Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
I don't care what it smells like. I'm drinking it.
that's right.
We wouldn't advise that
Gut
to our
chill,
listeners.
yeah.
Thomas can do that. But
Gut check, gut health
Right?
check, yeah.
That's exactly my theory.
Yeah, you got it, whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just a step away from cottage cheese or...
Shannon, are you gagging? Is that
Well, that and what is it? The fat slug. It's like you can say it in a different way, and it's not very nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't use your imagination.
I know. I
right?
keep going to the cows. I want to know more about these cows.
yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I was so connected
Oh.
when I went into the grocery store. And this happens when, you go to the strawberry farms and you just see that there's more to it than when you just walk in and you pay and you pick it up or you come to one of our pantries. And I found it really fascinating on how these cows are out to pasture for a year. So help explain that so people can appreciate the management that goes into it. You need innovation, but there's core things you have to take care of to create this product.
So we start off by raising our own cows. We do. We hire a gentleman who's proficient in raising his own calves, and we send them to his pastures. And they're all A2 heifers. They're all female cows. Remember, we need the female cows to produce the milk. So all the females, and we typically inseminate with sexed semen. And which ensures that we're
Wait,
going
this is
to
a clean show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Censor that. So we're getting female calves, and that are A2 genetically. We're raising those calves, and what we want is for them.
So wait, is the bull not participating in this?
No, sir.
Oh, man.
Guys are out.
Yeah.
This is girl power
This is-
all the
yeah,
way.
So artificial insemination, although it's not. It's safer for our cows because you know how boys are, Thomas.
I don't know that.
That
Yeah.
would wreak havoc in that just peaceful,
That's true.
Yeah.
those barns. It would just
Wouldn't be so serene
no,
anymore.
no. There would be bed hogs. Just go
Yeah,
ahead.
you know where I'm coming from, right, Shannon? Yes. So we hope that they're going to calf when they're about 2 years old. That is the plan, right? We raise them, we inseminate them with a plan that they're going to calf when they're 2 years old. And they go right into the milking herd, and their baby goes to be raised to join her in 2 years, as her little sister or daughter actually is there with her. But we milk them, and then we inseminate them again. And to keep the cycle going, it's what's done in dairy farms.
And it's so interesting to me because we're standing out there with all these cows. And you were showing me how the size of their head and the way their snout, actually it was your
Yes.
brother-in-law,
Yeah.
was telling me, and he was guessing the ages of them.
You know, it's interesting. It's a totally different reference, but I was watching a National Geographic show on the West, and they were talking about buffalo and the spiritual relationship that the Indians had with buffalo and why it was important. You know, it often occurs to me, and I think I shared before, summers I would work on my uncle's beef cattle farm in Virginia. He was in the Shenandoah Valley. And there is something to being being in a place and connected to animals in a way because they are a part of our lives, an important part of our lives, as you've talked about. But I would imagine there's a spiritual nature to your farm and to the work that you do and to the animals that you're a part of that world with.
It's definitely a serene, peaceful, spiritual experience. Yeah, when you get out there and you feel at one with nature. I mean, really and truly, I don't spend a lot of time at our farm. I'm mostly at our packaging plant, but we do spend family time together, and we do go out to our farm like we did last week. And it is a wonderful place. God's creation is a beautiful thing to.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose a farm. It's another thing to lose the spiritual value of what a farm means to all of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
For sure. So what is the best way? Like, you guys are working the farm. Well, actually, let me go to, is the next generation ready?
Yeah. So right now, actually, Leon and Jessica's son, Chet McClellan, he is baling hay. He is working on the farm every day after school. So on the farm level, we definitely have that next generation stepping up. My oldest daughter, Haley, she has come in and she's done some administrative work for me, worked on our accounts payable. And Brooke, my youngest daughter, she's kind of more of the outgoing spirit. She worked this year at the Florida State Fair at our booth at the Florida State Fair, educating fair growers on milking and on our processing plant.
How old is she?
She actually just turned 14, so at the fair she was 13.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So they're all, every minute of every day, right, is basically consumed with work in one way or another. So they're in it.
Yeah.
They know it, just they're absorbing it. Yeah, by osmosis.
So you're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
So what do you guys do in your downtime? Because it sounds like a lot of supporting this family business, but what, for just your family, what do you guys do in your downtime?
So we like to fish a lot.
Yeah.
So we go to the Gulf Hammock Fishing Club in Waukesasa area. We fish on the Waukesasa River. We also like to hunt a lot. My husband and I both like to hunt, both deer and turkey. Right now it's turkey season. So again, like Thomas was alluding, we love the outdoors, and we're spiritually connected, and we spend our free time out in the outdoors.
That's amazing. I went through okay, y'all get ready. I did go through a hunting phase in my life. And it was when my youngest son was young, and he was, I think he was 8 years old, and he got his first turkey, and it was as big as this table.
Yes, yeah.
Did you wear an Elmer Fudd kind of hat, one of those hats with the...
No, but I was rocking the camouflage.
Yes.
Which I still do now.
So you weren't into the hunting, you were into the outfit for hunting.
I had my phone on silent. It was, I was just helping.
You were just helping?
Yeah. I was just supporting my son because of what he wanted to do.
So did you cook the turkey?
We did.
Did you?
We
did. Did you love it? So wild turkey to me is the
absolutely
best. Yeah, I love it.
And deer.
The animal, not the beverage.
Oh my heavens, Thomas, where are you? What time is it, y'all? It is not.
That's after the hunt is over.
Checking. Right. Oh, that's after the hunt.
After the hunt is over,
it's
around
the wild
fire.
turkey, then the wild turkey.
You're telling the stories and all of that.
Oh my goodness.
So we want to thank you so much. You have done news stories. You've come and toured. You've spoken on behalf of Florida farmers to our state, and we're just hoping that all of those proposals come through. But our last question of the day.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. You ask it. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things we like to say is everything good in life starts around a table. Everything that matters to us happens at a table. A conversation like this, as you mentioned, your family together. So you have a dinner that you're going to host.
Okay.
You get to invite 3 people. Doesn't matter, alive, not alive, but 3 people that would come and sit at your table. Who would you want and why?
Just 3, Thomas?
Well, you're one of them, so there's 3 others.
It's a
table for 4.
Well, I don't know that I can do that. My table seats like 8, so it's got, come on. So
it's my game, my rules.
I don't never play by the rules. Are you kidding me?
That explains a whole lot.
Yeah. So I don't know that I can limit it to 3. It would be not any different than my normal meals. It would be my 2 girls, my husband, Dale and Mary, my in-laws, and then my parents. That's exactly who would come to my table. And
you're not adhering to my rules. But
can they sit on each other's lap?
But it's a perfect answer.
It is. It's a wonderful answer.
And then you answered this before, or you said this before, but I think it bears repeating. What's the topic that you want to discuss at that table?
what I want to or what's going to be discussed. Because,
Again,
work.
it's my game. You
Yeah.
can just continue to answer what
But
you
what
want
do you? What would you want outside of work? What would you want everyone to talk about?
Oh, just our family support system, just everything that which happens to revolve around work. Gosh, I'm totally not following the rules at all.
We'll edit all this out. Kidding aside, we won't, because I think it's your table.
Important.
Yeah.
And those that you love are at that table with
Yes.
you. Some
Yeah.
people choose celebrities, some people,
Yeah.
but your answer
Controversy,
is my,
yours isn't. It's
your
sweet.
answer is my family and my family's business. And I
Yeah.
think those are
Yeah.
great answers.
And that's who's really around our dinner table at most nights. Obviously, it's just Daniel and Haley and Brooke most nights. But a couple nights ago, Monday night, we had dinner with Mary and Dale. She fried some fish that Dale caught out of Wakasasa. Yeah, delicious. So, I like my table.
Your table sounds wonderful.
I really like.
You
your
guys can
table,
come too, though.
Aw.
You guys can come
Standing
too.
room only.
I'll make room. I'll make room.
That's totally fine.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the platform. I really do.
Yeah, so wow, that was a lot. I didn't get to come out to the farm the one time Hector was there, and
I know, you're
I
jealous
think,
now, right?
I know, right? Yeah, I
You
feel
can come anytime.
right. Yeah, I feel like I learned so much just sitting here today. I took some notes on. I didn't know how pasteurization worked. I didn't know about the perfect milk. These are all. What do you guys feel like you took away from today? Like, what'd you learn on today's episode?
Well, because I've been there, I've learned by my knowledge is to appreciate things when I go into the grocery store, and this was another thing, and how important it is. And I didn't really understand the care and thought that goes into it. Making sure that if someone's lactose intolerant or something, like you're taking those barriers away. So we have kids through schools that aren't going to have any struggles with their milk. I also love that you guys do things like chocolate milk and strawberry milk and all these things. So a wealth of knowledge just by knowing you and first meeting you when you came here to talk to us. And we've now done stories together, and I just feel like you're a friend. I've learned a lot.
Likewise.
I think I've learned two things. One is I didn't know that there were brown cows for chocolate milk
Yeah.
and pink cows for strawberry milk.
Crazy, right?
The other thing that I learned is we can't lose the farms, but we also can't lose the farmers.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. And it's all about the family. We always need to remember that we're better in this world together. Mm-hmm. And thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm so excited that you have that next generation geared up, and we can count on Cool Cow to deliver.
Yes, ma'am.